Welcome back to Gosh Darn Dandy Time. I'm your host, BB. My voice is falling apart because I've done too many videos tonight. I'm going to talk about school again. My science curriculum, science classes from kindergarten to 12th grade. Or 10th grade? Yeah, I think science actually ended for me in 10th grade. So, kindergarten to 5th grade, I believe, if I remember right, science kits were like these giant storage container crates that the school district ordered through educational material suppliers and warehouses and manufacturing publishing houses that put together these giant storage crates full of hands-on science experiment study unit materials. Kindergarten to 5th grade. Even 6th grade and 7th grade, the same stuff. It was just a lot of small hands-on things. We did maybe 2 lessons a week. 2 45-minute periods a week, and from kindergarten to 7th grade. And then when I was in 8th grade, my parents really put in the effort to get me to transfer to a traditional middle school. I went to K-8 school from kindergarten to 7th grade. I transferred to a traditional 6th to 8th grade middle school for 8th grade due to a lot of bullying and ostracization and bad teachers and bad administrators at the K-8 school and just a lot of bad luck and a bad environment that was toxic emotionally, and I didn't feel safe there anymore. Despite it was 5 blocks from my home, it was inadequate. Sometimes K-8 schools are good, sometimes they're bad. Oh, that's a good idea. My next topic video will be K-8 schools and why I'm disillusioned by the K-8 school method. I am. I'll talk about that later. So 8th grade, my first semester, I remember being in a 8th grade science class. Not sure what we did for a lot of our topics, but I remember we had to do like a weekly, not a book report, but we had to fill out a weekly assignment. It was the same thing every week where you had like, you used encyclopedias, or you used Encarta Britannica, or you used different online resources, or you used essentially the same publishing book, or National Geographic, or Guinness Book of World Records. You had to use some kind of encyclopedia source for covering a small science topic. You wrote a short 3-paragraph essay. You answered a bunch of yes or no questions that were vague and on topic, off topic. You answered a few abstract short essay questions where you did like 3 to 5 sentences per essay answer. And then you answered a few more things and you did a few more matches. And then you kind of had to show your own lesson plan of how you learned it and what the material is, and create a worksheet for someone else who is learning the topic that you just learned, kind of thing. And that was like the weekly assignment for the science class. And I chose to do like the science of cats. Literally the neurology and the anatomy and the physics of cats. I had a cat, but she died before I started 8th grade, but I guess I chose cats. I don't know why. I just did. It was something that just caught my eye. I remember the book, kind of what it looked like in my mind, but I don't remember who the author was or what the publishing company was. I don't remember the title of it, but I remember the book really caught me, and it was like 500 pages. It was kind of like a chapter book, novel, like a nonfiction. But I remember I liked it enough, it caught my eye, and really got me into cats for a semester. So that was my science class. I remember we took the science wassail. We had like one field trip. Oh, we went on to the Mohi, or not Mohi. Mohi wasn't there yet. We went to South Lake Union. We went to what is now the Mohi building. What back then it belonged to the U.S. Navy, I think, or the military, or the Marine Corps. I belonged to the maritime industry, and it was like a big public event building with a gymnasium and the wooden boat center and all those historical tourist trap little boats that you could do tours on. And we did the Virginia 5 with a bunch of other schools, and it was just like my science class period and maybe 2 other class periods all on this field trip. We went on one school bus, overcrowded, 3 students to a seat. Mind you, it was all 8th graders. So some of us were under 5 feet tall and others were like 5.5 to 6 feet tall, and full crowded school bus and like 2 adults, period. We didn't really have any chaperones back then. And I just remember that was the only field trip. I liked it. I enjoyed it. And so for 9th grade, when my first high school, I had 2 different science teachers, 2 different science classes. My first semester, I had Miss Herrera for integrated sciences, I guess. That was just a lot of book work. We had these 3 different textbooks that were a part of a series. We just had to do like a lot of writing assignments and journaling. We watched a lot of documentaries and some videos, and she had actually Bunsen burners and like science classroom countertops, lab stations. We did a couple of things but not a lot. A lot of the students in the class were more or less functioning at a 3rd grade level academically, and they didn't have the know-how or the maturity to do hands-on assignments. They made it difficult, and I put in a transfer for 2nd semester to Mr. Shirky. Mr. Shirky was this funny guy. He was a comedian. He was a great teacher. We watched a lot of Mythbusters. Mind you, the first 3 or 4 seasons of Mythbusters, because it was like 2005, 2006 when I was in this class. But the first couple seasons of Mythbusters, a lot of Bill Nye the Science Guy, Steve Spangler, the Canadian TV scientist. We watched a lot of scientific experimental shows and documentaries, movies, and then we got to recreate a lot of the experiments and a lot of the hands-on stuff too. That was pretty cool. And we had a lot of writing assignments and a lot of group work. And I was friends with a lot of my classmates in that class. I loved that one. In 10th grade, I had 2 science classes. For the entire school year, I had Biology 1. It was interesting, because I think the first semester we were in an old building that was like the auto shop and the welding shop and the wood shop and carpentry shop and another repair shop for elective trades or trade skill classes. And then there was this little hovel, this little cave that was an indoor space, and it was used as a classroom with long, narrow, skinny tables and skinny chairs. We were sandwiched and encapsulated like sardines in a tin can in this space. And it wasn't really a classroom, it was just like a storage space. So we had science class in there, but for the most part, if we had like lab sciences, we had to go into the actual science building. We had to go to actual science classrooms where the materials, supplies, the Bunsen burners, the countertops, the science stations. We had to go to those classrooms for that stuff. 2nd semester, we moved into what was the staff lounge, or the staff lunchroom, which was behind the lunchroom, behind the school kitchen. And that was our classroom for the rest of the semester. And then I took a second science class, which was more so to fill in the gaps that I wasn't able to do higher math. And it was of rock sciences, geology. But at the same time, it really didn't cover anything. It was just worksheets and handouts and photocopies, and the teacher guy, he didn't really know what he was doing. So anyways, wait for part 3 on science or whatever. Like, subscribe, comment, adios.